I felt like I was going to go crazy if I didn't leave the city. That's what traveling does for me. It's a mental health break, and I'll tell you more after this. Hey, I'm Marauding Megs, and it's great to see you. So I did something I was recommending everybody to not do, especially during this quarantine pandemic time. In a previous video, I went traveling. I left the city I lived in with a friend, and we went on an adventure. And I know I'm being hypocritical when I am telling people to stay home and cautioning them not to travel at all unless they have to. And I'm doing the opposite, and I'm going on my own adventures. So the thing is, and I want to preface this, is that I know the risks that I'm taking when I decide to leave my house or the city and going on adventures. But for me, traveling is like breathing. I can't live without it. And I feel really sad and I get depressed when I don't go and I go traveling to other places or just seeing different things, different people. So for me, it's a mental health thing. So if you are going to go traveling, like myself and my friend, that's fine. Just know the risks, be aware, and fully understand the consequences that may come of the decision for you to go out to travel. Now, I know the consequences and I take precautions, and so does my friend, but we know the risks and we're willing to live with the consequences. Whereas a lot of people, when they do take risks, they are not fully ready to take on the consequences. So this is what I am asking of you if you decide to go traveling like my friend and I do. So with that said, my friend and I, who I'm going to be calling my travel friend that I talk about a lot, his name is going to be Glockenspiel. That's what I'm going to call him from now on. So any previous videos you heard me talking about a friend and with the pronoun he, it's probably Glockenspiel. So that's his new name, and that's who I'm talking about. So we decided we needed to get the heck out of the city. So we decided to go on a hiking trip all the way to St. Catharines, well, just outside St. Catharines, Ontario. So the reason we decided to go and do a hiking trip is because we wouldn't be around a whole crowd of people, and we would be maintaining the social distance recommendation, which is 2 meters, 6 feet apart from other people that are that we don't know. So that's why we decided hiking would be best, and we would be out in nature, which definitely rejuvenates you if you're out in the forest. Now, if you're not a nature person and you completely disagree with my opinion, that's fine too. Not a problem at all. But for me, to be out in nature, it just recharges my batteries, so it's just amazing. So that's what we decided to do. So we jumped on the 401, which is a major highway in Ontario, and we headed to St. Catharines. Now, on our way, at the early stage of our journey, we got off on an en route, which in Tilbury, which is basically a rest stop. But this one, and all en routes, have different restaurants, washrooms, usually some souvenirs of some kind, and a sitting area to consume your food. And it's always open. It's always open, and there's always people all the time. The parking lot is packed. There's always people on the en routes building. So we drove up, and the parking lot was virtually empty. There was maybe 2 other cars, and it was so eerie. Even in the wintertime, there is always people traveling, and that parking lot is always pretty much full. So we're driving up to this parking lot. That looks like a great setup for a zombie movie. Honestly, it was like a ghost town. And we walk in to use the washroom and to get our caffeine because it was late in the evening when we started our journey. And when we walked in, the eating area that has tables and chairs, that was all cleared off to the side because they were just off in a corner, stacked, with no table and chairs anymore. And then the people who were lined up, the few people that were there, were lined up 2 meters apart. So that was weird to see, to have that in effect. And so yeah, so we're like, all right, let's just, go do our thing. Even into the washrooms, as soon as you get in there, there's a line of sinks and there's tons of washrooms. I was the only one in there. And that never happens. There's always people there. So the sinks, some of them were blocked off with signs and red tape saying don't use this one because they're trying to adhere to the 2 meter rule, right, for social distance. So that was new. That was a new enhancement out there. So once we were done, we got our caffeine, we jumped back on the 401 and spent 3 hours driving to St. Catharines. So Glockenspiel and I decided to stay at a hotel because the cost of accommodations was so cheap, especially in the Niagara Falls region, which is really expensive typically. We paid just about $200 for a suite, that's unheard of, especially in that region. So we decided to go and do that. When we but the thing is, again, when we pulled into the parking lot area where our hotel was, it was dead. Again, there was maybe tops 8 cars. It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. And when we went into the side of the hotel, the lobby was dead, except for the front desk clerk. He was the only one there manning the whole place. It was just really eerie. So when we checked in, he asked us 3 questions, COVID-related questions. So the first one was, how are you feeling? Do you have any symptoms of COVID? The second one was, have you contracted COVID? And the third question was, have you traveled outside the country the last 14 days? To all those questions, we said no, because we had been self-quarantining for the last 5 months at that point. So no, we haven't had any of that. All right, so we passed the test, we got our keys, and we headed up to our floor in this really quiet hotel, and it's a really big one. Like, it feels like it was haunted because it felt so empty. It's weird. So we go up to the elevator and we're walking towards our room, and we notice there's stuff that's off. First of all, Glockenspiel and I used to work in hospitality, and we noticed things that shouldn't be. One of the things was there was a side table with a dirty dish, and there was a container of Lysol wipes. We're like, okay, Lysol wipes probably for random guests, which is great, but the dirty dishes, and then we kept going, and there was garbage bags outside of guest doorways, and not just one doorway, but a couple down this hallway we're going down to, and it's just unseemly. Like, that's not the standard. So we're like, okay, maybe the housekeeping hasn't come for the night, maybe they'll come and pick it up tomorrow morning. So we're like, okay, fine, whatever, it's COVID. There's, a lot of stuff has changed. So we get to our room. The suite itself was amazing. We were so lucky to get it. So it was fantastic. Like, there was a separate area for the beds, and then there was actually a living room area, and it was fantastic. So we got to our room. So the thing is, this is the first travel trip I've been with Glockenspiel since COVID hit. I went in there and I'm starting to touch like door handles and light switches and like starting to kind of unpack, and he flipped out. The one thing about Glockenspiel is he's a little bit of a germaphobe. He's gotten a lot better since I first met him, but he was just like, he was like, what are you doing, Meg? So I got really pushed off to the side near the front door, and I was told basically don't touch anything until I'm done. So he got out his own supply of Lysol wipes and started just sanitizing everything. Now, the hotel front desk clerk assured us that, the room has been cleaned and precautions were taken to sanitize everything, which is great. But Glockenspiel's like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing, and he went around everywhere and sanitized everything, the common areas, anything we would touch. So just double checking, making sure we're good. So then I was allowed to move around and touch things and unpack, but that was a change for me because that's not something you're used to doing. When you go into a hotel room, you're just like, okay, I'm here and let's unpack and get ready and plan to figure out what our next steps are. So I am appreciative that he did that, but it's just something I have to kind of get used to, that's all. So you think our hotel adventure would be done since we sanitized our room when we're getting ready to go to bed? You'd be wrong, because I have a thing. So when I stay at a hotel room, which is not a lot of the time, usually I'm camping or staying in a hostel or something. So when I'm actually in a hotel, I like to go get ice from the ice machine. So I tell Glockenspiel this, and he's like, really? Are you serious? I'm like, yep, this is happening. So are you coming or going? So he's like, hey, we're gonna go, but we're gonna be careful, not to touch anything and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay. So we go on we're on the 3rd floor? Yeah, I think we're on the third or 2nd floor. Anyway, one of those. And we go down, and usually I can figure out where the nearest ice machine is. So we get to the one that's near my room, right? And of course I touched the ice machine to get it to drop the ice, and Glockenspiel was like, so we had hand sanitizer, so I was fine. Something, again, I have to get used to not touch surfaces like that. Anyway, so I pressed the button and there's nothing going on. I was like, okay, so this machine is not working. So we go to the other end of the hotel, same floor. I'm just gonna say we're on the 3rd floor. On the other side, the machine doesn't work either. So we're like, okay. I was like, let's go to the 4th floor because there's only 4 floors. And again, I have to preface this. The hallways are quiet. Like, there's no noise. The hotel itself, the lobby, the bar area, everywhere is quiet. The only thing you hear in the lobby is the 24-hour news that's going on about Toronto, what's going on around the country. That's all you hear, and even then, that's not really loud. So we decide we're gonna go to the 4th floor. So we go up there, and we start on one end, and the hallway is dark, completely pitch black. This is a setup to another horror movie. And what do? Of course I go, because I don't care. I need to go get some ice, and I'm sure we're gonna be fine. It's just, the lighting is not on. The only light that's on is kind of the emergency light that's red. So when the power goes out, those turn on. So we walk down this hallway, and we try the ice machine. Not with my hands, I use my elbow to get it going. Didn't work. So we're like, okay. We try the other end of the hotel on the 4th floor. No dice. Then we tried the 2nd floor. One end, no dice. And then we get to the 2nd floor, other side, and winner! The ice machine works. And I was so excited. So Glockenspiel's like, whatever, you're just ridiculous. So, mission accomplished. What we didn't know later on is when we went downstairs. Well, we were kind of caught during our little ice heist adventure. Because in order to get to the other end of the hallway, we have to pass through the main lobby. And so, because we're the only ones there, basically, the front desk staff was like, is there something I can help you with? He yells up to us on the 4th floor asking if we needed help. And we're like, no, we're good. And we just continued on our adventure. When we actually got downstairs, because we were gonna go somewhere else, he's like, I can get you ice. Like, we already have bag ice for you because none of the ice machines work. And I was like, oh, but they do. There is one that's still working. So it was ridiculous, but it was a lot of fun. And then we went to our room and we passed out.